Good morning. Good morning. It is 3:01 a.m. I am on my way to the gym. So I prayed this morning and I said, God, I don't understand everything. I said, but what I do see and I do understand is that literally you make a way when there seems to be absolutely no way, and you always come through in a clutch. And what's crazy is it seems like we forget how loved we are because we spend so much time in that dark place. How can I make sense of this? We spend so much time in that dark place that when we finally come out of it, whatever the dark place is, the dark place could be friendship, it could be relationship, the dark place could be finances, it could be addiction, it could be a dark place where you say that there is absolutely nowhere or nothing for me in this life, and even death starts to become something that you contemplate. So we spend so much time in this dark place that when we finally do come out of it, because if you're not dead, then that means you must have come out of it or you found a solution. And then when you come out of that dark place, you have this sense of entitlement. See, I know what it feels like to have that sense of entitlement. Like, you know what? How can I put it? I shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place because it wasn't my fault. See, when you fall into a situation and you start blaming other people, you start having a sense of entitlement because now you see the process or the error to be the error that somebody else caused on you. And therefore you never, ever see how blessed you are. Never. I think Facebook is probably one of the best social platforms to see what I'm saying play out perfectly. Because if you scroll through people's timelines, you'll see them on top of the world, then you'll see them come down, then you'll see them go back on top of the world, and then you'll see them come back down, and then you'll see them go back up and come back down. There's no middle ground. There's no, I'm in there. It's either I'm at the extreme high or I'm at the extreme low. And then the reason in between is usually somebody else's fault. I think it's hilarious. In a very addicting or addictive type of mentality way. Because all right, I'll give you an example. Me and my wife were talking yesterday. We were sitting down, we're having some coffee, we're having a discussion. And she says, well, in death, why is it so, why do people die so horrifically? And the best way, because I don't have an answer to everything, but some way, somehow I can answer it. I say, so let me ask you a question. You got 20 people standing in the room. Outside the door, there's this big window. Outside the window, this man gets hit by a car. He's killed. 5 seconds, 15 seconds earlier, he was just standing in the middle of this room amongst these 20 people. He walks outside. He went from a hot body to a cold body in a matter of seconds. He's dead, no longer with us. I said, you got 20 people inside of this room. All 20 people seen the exact same accident that you've seen, but yet this accident created a change in your life to the point where when you noticed and seen that this man had died so instantaneously that you made a change in your life, you said, life is short. It made an impact on you. It made an impact on you. Now, the other 20 people seen the exact same horrific death that you just witnessed, was in the presence of this individual just like you were. But yet, they shrug it off as, wow, that's messed up. Got hit by a car. Things happen. Not a big deal. But for you, it became a life-changing moment where you said life is short. It wasn't he got hit by a car. It wasn't, oh, that's messed up. It was a life-changing moment. And I guess what I was trying to say was that sometimes things happen around you to get your attention. It wasn't even about the man who died. It wasn't about the other 20 people in the room. It was about how did it affect you and change your life. So sometimes when things happen, they happen, and even if it's outside of you, they happen to help you. They happen to make an effect on you. They happen to make a change on you. I was seeing people die in my life, and I said, no, I don't want it like that. So in their death, it was an example to me to make a change. And then when I started seeing, and now I'm talking about my younger friends, then when I started seeing older people die, and I seen that they hadn't really reached their potential, or they hadn't really seen what God had for them, then that made another change in me. See, death does something to me, but it doesn't make me go under. It makes me recognize what I have. So it's hilarious to see all these different ups and downs, but at never any point is there a point where you say, man, you just provide for me, because there's this sense of entitlement. Because as long as the problem is somebody else's and they've inflicted their problem on you, then what do you say? Oh man, I came up out of that because I got rid of such and such. Instead of saying, no, I came up out of that because God provides. Because I needed that. I needed to go through that. I needed to feel that. People want these relationships, and men want these relationships with these great women, but they don't understand. Great women expect certain things from a man. You can't expect her to have it all together, but yet you still trying to figure out what you doing. Come on. That's like letting a diesel mechanic sit inside your brand new Mercedes. Come on. With white interior. But maybe some part of you and what you want should drive you to make a change inside of you. But yet, instead of looking at yourself and saying, hey, maybe I'm not getting what I want because I'm not making the necessary changes in my own life. So you're attracting what you believe about yourself. You're attracting it. But the best way to get the most out of this life is to recognize that things don't happen to you, they happen for you, and you're not always the victim. I would actually say, if I had to go on a sliding scale and say, I would say that you're probably never the victim. If anything, you're victimizing yourself and you're victimizing other people. I've never been the victim. As much as I want to act like it, I've never been the victim. As much as it would be easier to just point the finger and place the blame in your lap and say, this happened to me because of you. My life turned out the way it did because of my parents. My life turned out the way that it did because of who I connected myself to. Well, those were all things that were intended for me, to help me. And they did. They helped me a lot. But they only helped me because I was willing to look at it. I was willing to really, really look at what was going on and say that if I take responsibility, then I also get to receive the credit. See, you can't give away the responsibility and then when all goes right, then you take the credit. You can't do that. But you want to be the victim when things aren't going your way. But what was your part in that? What was your part in that? And once you start seeing what your part in that was, and you start taking 100% of the responsibility, then you'll see a bigger change than when you say, oh, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's their fault. And guess what? I'm perfect. I know my self-worth. So even when it comes to a relationship, I know what I want. But I also know that if I want a certain caliber of mate, then guess what? I got to match up because they're going to have an expectation of me too. And I think that's where people get confused. The expectation isn't one way. So you go trying to line up with something that you're not prepared for, you will be recognized immediately for who you are. So step your game up. Level up. Stop being a victim. Winners don't like victims. Winners don't like excuses. It's not a winning formula. Excuses and quitting are formulas for people who like to lose.